Hello, and welcome once again to Base Editing with Daisy. It's been a while since I was able to do a video and upload it so that you could see more great tips on building your bases. I thought I'd start off showing off one of the bases that I made while I was waiting to be able to upload more videos. This is the spaceship base, the Orandorite. I'm going to show you all the stuff inside and outside. Now the code to enter this base is 1s-5030. That's the word ones 5030. Should be up on the screen there. Transporter room is where we come in, and it has kind of a Star Trek feel to it, and that's entirely intentional. As you can see, the banners there have some symbols which give you clues as to which teleporter goes to what zone and zones. And I've also written the words. I used stall panel walls to do that, various colors and so forth. And we've added a few more teleporter destinations. So now you can also teleport into Pretoria and the Shadow Shard. So from the transport room, we have access to all the other services on the service deck. I do like to keep all my services very tightly centrally located around the base portal because most people prefer to be able to access services quickly. This is our medical bay. Of course, we have our resurrection units, and then some other decorative things which are kind of more Star Trek themed, sort of medical type equipment, and an MRI, and of course our base services such as the nurse and the combat logs, so you can access inspirations and sell. Now if you need more or bigger inspirations, just go on down to the science room. We have a lab here that has your inspiration storage in a lab setting, and your base buffs over here in case you want to buff up. Now if you need the salvage for those buffs, that would be over here in the quartermasters. Here you can create your IOs at your invention station. You can store them here. This is an upright storage center. You can see my mouse turning into a hand there. And so you would be able to store your IOs there and access your salvage here. Orange would be for rare, yellow would be for uncommon, and white would be for common. And we have also a special bin for the things like converters and catalysts, and of course icon, otherwise known as uniform supply there. Then on the bridge itself, we don't have a lot of services, but we do have trainers to either side of the doors. And then we have the mission computer and also the Oros crystal, all in a bridge type setting. And over here we have the captain's chair, which is overlooking all the other controls like the pilot navigation station. And if you can look closely, you can see some stars out of the front windows here, but you'll be able to see inside from outside much better than you can see out from the inside due to the reflective quality of the glass. So from the bridge you can also access the ready room. This goes down to the captain's office. Here you can see things that he's collected over his travels, plus a nice window for viewing the stars, which is actually a created star field, and his information feed from Earth so he can keep track of what's going on. And then it's back up to the bridge, where the other turbo lift will take us to the rest of the ship. I'm going to go up to B, or Beth. Now I just usually use the marker, the letter of the first name of the marker. So this is just B, which I note on the floor here. And this is the nightclub and the bar. Kind of a fancy place to relax and maybe look at the stars, have a drink, dance on the dance floor with some nice lighted tabletops and a swanky little dance floor looking out on the stars. And there's some music that you could hear if I had the sound turned up so that you could hear it. Then out the back of the nightclub is the Arboretum, and this is kind of like the ship's lungs, plus hydroponics, which would supply fresh food for the restaurant, and just a nice pretty place to relax. And from there we go into the shuttle bay. This is the shuttle control for the shuttle bay overlooking the Arachnos flyer. And then out the sides we have the stairs going down. You can see the longbow flyers here all set up on their racks, and the longbow flyers would come flying in through the force field gate and then to their little roundabout where they would be turned around and then put up on the racks with the cranes. And of course the longbow flyer just goes out the field there, and then the longbows would go out these turbo chutes to launch, turbo launchers. And back here we have all the engines and so forth. Now, getting this plate to be upright was actually a difficult chore, because what I did was I built around the base instead of just on top of the base or below the base or inside of the base. I built inside of the base, but I also built on top of the base, and then I enclosed the whole thing with pieces to make it look like a ship. And what I basically had to do to get that upright was trick the computer by adding an extra room, placing the item the way I wanted to, and then deleting the room. And the computer essentially has to decide, okay, this item, did it belong to the room that's gone or the room that's still here? And if you placed it close enough to the room that's still there, the object will stay. So that was a little trick that I found out worked when I was putting this together, and I had to use it quite a bit actually, because there was the back end which I needed to go straight up, and then all of the pieces on the side. Every piece that you have on when you're building a base has to anchor into a room somewhere, so all these pieces have at least a portion of themselves in a room, or the computer thinks it does. So there's nothing above, nothing below. It's just items built around the actual base. And here we have the name of the ship, the Orandarite, and then the alien lettering above that. You can see the dance floor that we were just in with the golden dome, and then inside the bridge, like I said, it was a much clearer view from the outside. And then this is all again around the room, the entry room in this case, of the base, and just kind of put it all together, trying to make bits and pieces look like a spaceship. There up on top, there's a great big shuttle that would be used in cases of emergencies or a great big crew trip to Earth, if they're not taking the individual flyers or heck, the teleporters. So there's a shuttle, the airlock that goes up to the shuttle, but in this case it also goes to the other parts of the ship. And so I'm going to go inside the ship now. I'm going to go to L, which is the leisure deck, and on the leisure deck we have the rec room, and we have just things like pool tables, which you can get out of the editor, and other things like the pinball machines and the video games, which you can also get out of the editor. A couple of things that you can't get out of the editor, like this air hockey table and the ping pong table. These are replicators that I made, and I've got people doing like tabletop games and so forth here. So this would be the crew rec area, and then for more sophisticated entertainment there would be the holodeck, which is basically just a bunch of monitor screens which simulate the holodeck program that you would be using. Now, along the sides of the ship I have crew quarters. Now, none of these are open, but we'll see an open crew quarter later on that would be a little more elaborate than the ones that we have right here. And of course I have stairs on either end of the ship, so you are never stuck in case you're too far away from the turbo lift and you don't want to walk all the way down. Next floor in the middle is K for conference and cafeteria. Cafeteria is kind of basic, more replicators, people making food, waiting for food, sitting together, talking. Room for lots of the crew here, although they have replicators in their rooms as well. Then the conference room around the corner here. It's carpeted, which I used banners to get a carpeted effect. And it has, of course, a meeting table, all sorts of information sources, and snacks, and so forth. So everything a conference room would need or want to have. So now we're going to go down to level D, which actually has the most things on it. And we start off with some of the crew quarters that I mentioned. Now these would be more like the VIP quarters. Each of them is decorated just a little bit differently. There are two that we have open, and the third one that's open is the captain's quarters. So this one has kind of a little yellow theme. Touches like the soap dispenser and the towels there, they kind of make the area come to life. And that's a sonic shower. That's why it has all the different shower heads on it, because in space sometimes water doesn't flow quite as easily as other things do. So that's why the toilet looks kind of funky too. Meant to operate in 0G. So then we have another room. This one's again slightly different. It's green. A little bit different decor, but still the basic setup is pretty much the same. Then we come to the captain's quarters, which is over here, and he has his own bigger setup with a larger table for entertaining and a nice window for starfield view. His bed and his restroom and so forth. So all pretty much the same. We have engineering. Another look back at the captain's desk and rug and everything in his bedroom. So then we have engineering. Engineering is basically where I covered up all the bits that were sticking in from the outside of the ship. But I thought it turned out pretty well. There's the warp core and various tech stations and so forth to monitor your engine. So, back out this way. We go down the side of the ship, past more crew quarters, to about midship, and here we have the artillery range. And here you can practice your shooting or your knife throwing or whatever it is that you might be doing, your weapons practice. And then for more situational, realistic approach, we have the practice room, or some people call it a situation room. I just call it the disaster alley. It's got several distractions and so forth, but the idea is to find these red targeting dummies. I have placed 28 of them throughout the area, and there are some kind of misdirection things like the Tiki mask and the Ritke targeting drone. And you can't actually target these, of course, but you would want to act as if they could target you. So you're trying to find all 28 before they could draw a bead on you. And we have settings such as the store and the pizza place and a warehouse that happens to be on fire, a little apartment over here, and so forth and so on. So it's kind of a fun little thing to do. Come in and try and find the targeting dummies. Now down to the end of the ship, we have a couple of my favorite rooms. The first is the gym. In the gym, of course, we have the lockers here. This would be the women's locker room and bathroom facility. And then we have the gym. We have our treadmills and our various recumbent bikes and the weights. Now those all come out of the editor just like that. But I made, for instance, the weight machines over here, the exercise machines, like the leg machine and the pull-down bars and the back machine and the butterfly machine and things like that. And this thing you might recognize if you watched the show Arrow. It's called a salmon run, where you lift that bar up the rungs. And then, of course, our rock wall have monkey bars going all the way across and around. And then up here are some ellipses, more treadmills, a core workout center, more weights, and so forth. I do wish that the editor had a few more exercise equipment things. And then when you're done with your exercise, well, go across the hall here to the theater. You have your little kiosk with all your snacks, and you come up to a nice carpeted theater, big old screen, very comfy chairs, and there's really not a bad seat in the house. And that's basically the tour. I'm glad that you were able to come and join me today. So happy to be giving you videos again, and I hope that you'll come give us a tour in person at 1's 5030 on Excelsior. Thanks for joining me. Bye!